Thank you thank you to BlogU for having me, and also thank you guys for spending your afternoon here. You know, could it be at Kim's event? And Kim and I look like we could be brother and sister. So, and we go to the exact same conferences. So I see her 3 times a year. And this is the second time I've seen her this year. So it's a bummer because we're very, very good friends. So anyway, thank you for choosing me over her. I mean, I like her not as a competitor, but no, she's the best. She's great. Okay, thank you guys. So what I want to do, is talking about how to be effective on Twitter. Everyone can hear me? In the back? Cool? Or do you need, okay. If I start getting too low or whatever, let me know. I want to talk, this is the one social media platform that I feel that I understand. I can't, in any good conscience, say I understand Facebook or Instagram. I'm still totally unclear on why Instagram is going to help me with my blog, but people do it. I'm not sure. I know you can put the link in the comments, but do people click on that? I don't know. But people love it, and Pinterest, So, no, it's great. I mean, last year. So just to give you an idea of how I'm sort of thinking about putting this presentation together, I sat through Anna Luther, who, by the way, went to school, same school I did, and lived in the same house my sister lived in, not a sorority house, an actual one of the hundreds of houses. She lived in the exact same house my sister did, and she was the sorority president of the same sorority my sister was at. Like, she was like this two people later, she was the exact, very odd. Right? Very cool. But Anna's presentation, anyone here last year for Pinterest? How awesome was that? Did you walk out with an exact strategy of exactly what to do? She was like, do 27 pins a day or whatever it was. And it was very, very specific. And I thought, I think I could do something hopefully in the same vein and hopefully the same quality as Anna. So that is my intention, is that you'll walk out of here first with a philosophical understanding, a sort of a high level sort of 10,000 foot view of what Twitter is and how you could approach it, and then a very specific deep dive into do this, sort of very sort of algorithmic, X plus Y, equals Z kind of thing, right? Okay, so Twitter, let's talk a little bit about Twitter. Let's talk about me first. Forgot I was next. I know I can do this thing where I can see the next slide, but then that just screws me up. So, but my name's DJ. My blog is thoughtsfromparis.com, and I truly don't understand Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Google+. Snapchat is a complete mystery how brands use it, and they use it. And I've not quite figured out how to incorporate that, and if I will. Google+, I don't hardly use at all. I basically stick with the main four, which is Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, and I really only do anything of note via Twitter. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. So this has changed slightly, and I'll explain why in a moment, but this is as of a month and a half ago when I wrote this presentation. This was the breakdown of my social media accounts. So you can see there's a pretty substantial distinction between the other three, right? And Twitter. Well, Facebook now, I think I'm over like 20,000, and here's why. I did not go viral, and I started paying for likes, which I don't do on Twitter. But I thought it would be kind of interesting to see if for a penny a like or whatever. And I got tons of likes, and it's not much money really, but it hasn't really increased engagement. So actually my Twitter thing or my Facebook would look a little better now, but not really because I pay for those. So does anyone have success paying for likes on Twitter? Or I'm sorry, on Facebook or Twitter?
I haven't done it.
Okay, yeah. So the sole reason I did it on Facebook, I was told to do it by a woman with 800,000 likes on Facebook. And I think it actually is a really good strategy for a very specific reason, which this isn't beyond the scope of this conversation, but it's just bumped up my number, not really nothing. But I do understand Twitter. And then a lot of times people will say, well, do you have real followers? Well, I actually do. But I'll tell you a funny story. I used to not have real followers. So my very first blog conference was 5 or 6 years ago. And at the time, I was doing some pretty heavy SEO, and this is before Google kind of wised up on ways you could inflate your rankings by getting other people to link back to you. And that's still probably the best way to get rankings. But back then, you could really game the system, and everybody was doing it. It was very, very popular. JCPenney was the largest retailer that got in trouble for it. If you want to read a really interesting article, New York Times did a huge expose, and then Google was forced to take action. And it was a good thing because it cleaned up a lot of the what they call web spam. But basically, I went to a blog conference, and I was #1 on Google at the time for the term best blog. And best blogs, and funny blog, and funny blog. So all 4 of those, I was like #1 to #3. Now, I shouldn't have been, because when somebody types in the word funny blog, they're not looking for me. They're looking for what? A list of like funny blogs maybe, or somebody's opinion on what's the funniest blog. They're not looking for me, but for about a year, I was #1. So I went to this blog conference, and I wasn't out there bragging about it, but few people knew it, and I wasn't speaking or anything. I was so it was my very first conference, and I only had like 25 Twitter followers. And so I'm not proud to say this, but I was like so embarrassed that I had like no Twitter followers, and back then Twitter was kind of everything. I was like, I'm gonna buy some Twitter followers and inflate my numbers. So I think for $5, I bought 2,500 Twitter followers just because I was so embarrassed and ashamed that people were going, "You're #1 on Google for best blog, and you only have 100 Twitter followers." So all of those Twitter followers have fallen away and died off, and obviously that was like 6 years ago. But ever since then, it's all been real. So I just did a quick couple of tools that'll give you an idea of how real your audience is. Like if you put in the president, more than half of the presidents are fake, not because the president's out there doing weird things with Twitter. It's just that people will follow him for a number of reasons, for spam purposes. So somewhere between 13 and 14% of my bloggers are my followers are fake. Although this last one said 97% are real. Whatever. Bottom line is they're real. But I actually, after a few years, I felt so guilty about buying the first 2,500, which, by the way, never commented, never sent me. I mean, they're all probably fake accounts. That I exposed myself on my blog because I was like, that didn't sound right, but I, you know what I mean.
Nuggets just followers.
Well, maybe.
They're just not real people. Is that the deal?
They're just like fake accounts people set up for bots, things like that. Doesn't matter. Don't pay any attention to them. Don't buy your followers. It's not a good idea. But I did want to show you what the impact of my followers have been to my traffic to my blog. So all of us here are content creators, bloggers, YouTube, Facebook, podcast, something, right? Or thinking about it. Is that not easy to see? Up here it's... Okay, that's okay. I'll read it to you. And by the way, you'll have all these slides when you take it home. But if you look at all the social media traffic to my blog, everything basically non-newsletter and non-Google organic, almost half of my social media traffic is from Twitter. And if you go and run a report, use Google Analytics, there's a million ways to do it. Very simple to do, actually. You all probably plug your data into Google Analytics anyway, or use a number of other tools. You too can get if you're getting a lot of traffic from Facebook, which I really am not, but I can show you how to add more visitors. Make sense? Is this what everyone wants?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about exactly what basically 2 things. I'm going to show you how to increase the number of people who follow you, and I'm going to show you how to increase the number of those people who click over to your blog. Okay. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So when I was first working on the session, my girlfriend, who is a very supportive person, this is going to make her sound not so supportive, she said, "Oh, that's great, but isn't Twitter dying?" And she works for a gigantic brand who does a lot of stuff with social media. And maybe, I don't know, it might be. There's a lot of news reports that say it is, but I'm going to ride it to the very last day that Twitter is still around. I don't suspect it will ever die because it's too valuable. People will figure out better ways to monetize it. But there's a lot of reports recently about Is it Snapchat that just beat Twitter in number of followers? They crossed the 300 million mark. But again, most Snapchat users are probably not your demo, right? Those are younger, unless you're producing videos on YouTube that are aimed at, younger audience. That's probably not. None of my friends use Snapchat to my knowledge. But let's talk about Twitter. And these are some stats. Now, some of these are not the most fresh stats, and Twitter is very, very careful to release very specific statistics, because of course they don't want to, create headlines saying that things aren't so good. But as of February of this year, they released that said 320 million users log in at least once a month. That's substantial, at least in my opinion. 100 million users visit Twitter every day. Now that's 2.5 years old. That's probably gone down. So, well, even if it's 50 million, let's say, is that enough people for you guys? Okay, all right. We could probably find a few people that might want to read our stuff out of the 50 million. So I always say, let's just assume everything's half true. Okay, so even if it's 50 million, that's still a lot of people for me. And then again, this is a few years old, but about half of Twitter users log in every day. And again, that's probably gone down. But what I was very interested to look at was what's their revenue? Because at the end of the day, Twitter's a business. Facebook's a business. And they need money, right? And Twitter has had a long-standing challenge of trying to create revenue for them. Some brands have been hesitant in certain ways. And unfortunately, they just released the first quarter of this year, but this was after I put this together and I haven't updated it. But if you look, and I'll talk about that in a second, but if you look from the last year, quarter one, 2015 up to the end of last year, it's clearly been growing. That's a good sign, right? So if you want to talk about is Twitter dying, all that you really need to do is look at the numbers. Now the numbers for the first quarter have dipped a little. I don't know if that's a trend. I don't know if that's an anomaly. I don't know why, but if I were to show you the next block, it would be slightly lower. I forgot what their overall revenue was, but
The first quarter last year, too.
Yeah, I was just saying.
yeah, maybe, yeah, good point. So I always say, is Twitter dying? Well, when something's, grossing $641 million a quarter, probably not in danger of shutting down. Now, are users moving away from it? Yeah, I think they are. The data does show that, but Twitter will figure out a way to right its ship because there's too much money at stake. So I don't worry too much about whether Twitter's in vogue. I know there's still a lot of people using it. But I've been to a lot of conferences and over the years talked to a lot of bloggers, and it is almost a universal thing. I don't know how to make it work for me. Very, very rarely do I meet somebody who's like, yep, I get tons of traffic, it's great, I'm really set on Twitter. Usually it's Facebook. And I have the exact opposite. I can't get any traction on Facebook. I know what to do, being in the last session. I know specifically what to do. It's just I haven't put the work into it. But I'm better on Twitter, actually, and I don't think I'll ever have the success I have on Facebook as I do here. But let's talk about, so I manage, I'm not a realtor myself, but I manage and recruit realtors. And we have 435 realtors at our firm. And 3 years ago, we only had 10 realtors. So I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of realtors over the years. And is anyone a realtor in the office, in the audience? Okay. Does anyone have a realtor in their family or anything like? Okay. Why do you think most people who get into real estate as a realtor, why do you think they leave the industry in a year? Most people do. Well, they don't earn enough money. Why are they leaving the industry because they don't earn enough money?
It takes a year to build that.
Okay, but what are they not doing?
Selling houses.
Yes, why are they not selling houses?
Going outside of people they know.
Because they're not what? They're not going outside of people they know. Yeah. So basically, what are they not doing?
Marketing.
They're not marketing. What does that mean? What are they not specifically doing? They're not going out and meeting people, right? So all the data in the world says if you want to be a successful realtor, you have to meet a ridiculous number of people, make sure they know who you are, and stay in touch with them. It's really that simple. And they have to obviously be good once they hire you, but most realtors are never going to do the heavy lifting of getting out there and talking to, 1,000 people a year and getting business, right? So this is the same reason why many of you have not had success on Twitter. Twitter does not come to you. Unless you get lucky and you go viral, but I never have. I've never had any major success on Twitter. I mean, it's always been singles and doubles, no grand slams, no Maybe my most retweeted tweet, I don't even know, but it's maybe 100. Maybe. So the idea is Twitter, this is the part that I'm sort of hesitant to talk about because it's really going to sound like not a lot of fun. You got to get out there and meet as many people as you can, and there are very easy ways to do it, but it is very simple ways to do it, but it is hard work. You have to go out there and forge relationships. Does that make sense? Do you understand? Facebook connects people that are already connected, right? Instagram, same thing, right? Pinterest, a little bit more like Twitter, but Twitter is very specifically, you got to get out there and you've got millions of people who are just waiting for you to strike up a conversation. We're going to talk about how to do that. So the downside is there's no secret formula. The upside is I'll give you the fundamentals, and if you literally just do these, you're going to have wild success with this. So you have to get out there and meet people. So let's talk about the way I think about Twitter. And I sort of see it as in three different segments, but I take it out from like a metaphor of a big city. Oh, can you guys see those? So the first is Twitter at its highest levels, a gigantic, massive metropolitan city. Tons of people you've never yet met, right? As you get a little closer in, zooming into the map, Twitter has, if you think about your people who follow you as like a suburb, right? Or neighborhoods, right? Or suburbs rather. And then the neighborhood is where you can get out and deepen the relationship. But you really have the entire landscape of Twitter, and you can go anywhere you want, and you can sort of bring people in and bring them closer. We're going to talk about how to do that. Does that make sense? So it's really all three things, right? Okay, so I thought this was kind of more probably silly than anything, but Dale Carnegie made $1 bazillion, basically saying, when you meet people, ask them about themselves. I just saved you a lot of time. If all you ever did was ask people about themselves, you would be the most charismatic person at every party. And guess what? Most people don't. And they know they're supposed to. So anyway, I just basically made a little silly thing. But so how to win friends and influence people on Twitter, right? Yeah, it's cute. I'll let you take the picture. Okay. Well, I'm using the Carnegie. I don't want the Carnegie people coming after me. He's long dead, right? Okay. So let's talk about my first strategy. Rather, what we're really going to be talking about is how to find people who are likely to actually like you and want to hang out with you and want to read your stuff. Okay. So my first strategy is who tweets out bloggers that you admire. So if you are a blogger, I'm assuming you know at least a few successful bloggers in your niche. Does everyone, if you don't, you know how to figure that out, right? Okay. So you should make a list of at least a handful of bloggers who get real big traffic. In my case, in the humor space, it would be like Heather Armstrong, Deuce, or Jenny Lawson, the Blogess, or Jen Mann, or I don't know who else, right? That's, whatever, the big bloggers. And what you want to do is you want to go through, what we're going to do is we're going to use a tool called Keyhole, which is, the LE is the, it's keyhole.le, Keyhole. And what it is it is a site that aggregates all of the sharing that's done with specific URLs. So what you're going to do is you're going to head to, I think in the video, I go to Jenny Lawson's blog, and I'll show it to you in a second. I basically try to find a post that was that you think was probably shared a lot. One way to determine it, how many comments are on it, right? So you can kind of logically think, if I go through a blog and there's 0 comments, maybe it hasn't been shared that many times. And if it's, but again, you can test anything. So you should test your own stuff. You can see it as well. And it basically checks all the different social media platforms, and it looks for how people have linked to that URL and shared it in the various social media accounts. So you're going to head over there. You're going to check out, and I'll show you. And Keyhole's so cool because it's free, and it will show you literally everyone who has sent out that stuff. So why is that important? What could you do with that information? If I want people who read Jenny Lawson to read me, and sure, I could follow them. And specifically, what do I know about them? I know that they shared a certain post. I could thank them for sharing that post. I mean, I could find out if they're a blogger, share one of their posts. Do you know how many times people have written me and said, hey, I just wanted to let you know I shared one of your posts? Maybe once. Do you know how flattered I would be if somebody did that? People probably do share my stuff, but I might often, maybe I don't see it, or it gets buried. So you could send a message, but the idea is you want to find people that are already sharing, because they're people who like to share and retweet stuff, right? Or maybe not retweet, but at least send out blog posts. Does this make sense? We're finding people who read stuff that's similar or in the same vein as you, and who are active on Twitter and are sharing content. This makes sense, yes? Nod yes. Okay, cool. So I'll show you a little video on how this works. This is going to go really quick. So again, you'll get these slides afterwards, so just see if you can kind of see the general idea here. So I did pull up the BlogUS, and I started looking on, can you guys see that? Okay. I started looking at her posts to see, what was getting the best comments or the most comments. And I just scrolled through her homepage, and I found, okay, that top one had like 500 posts or comments. So I copied the link to that, and I went to Keyhole. This is so simple, right? And I pasted it in. And then I searched Twitter. You can also search, I think, Instagram. I guess I thought they did Facebook too, but maybe not. And it takes a few seconds. And as it's loading, there are all, well, as I scroll down, you'll see those are all, and let me pause it for a second. I'm going to go back. Let's go back a sec. All right. Oh, I missed it again, darn it. Let's go back. Okay. So the thing disappears when okay. So you see the most influential? Now, Jenny's it's hard to beat her in influence, so she probably tweets out her own stuff, right? So she's gonna always be there. But these are all people who have massive, massive followings, or have amazing ratios of people who follow them to people they follow, right? She follows me, by the way. I'm just kidding. No, she followed me 6 years ago when I was a advertiser for. She probably felt obligated, but anyway. I'm just teasing. She doesn't tweet out my stuff. But I wouldn't expect her to. But here's people who do tweet out her stuff. And you literally can just, and I'll do this in a second, I'm going to click on somebody and take a look at them. So I clicked on just some random recent user. And, oops, sorry about that. Let's go back to that. I'll go back. Okay, so I clicked on some random user, and I want to confirm that she actually, is tweeting it out so I have a good understanding. By the way, what if you see somebody who tweets this out who has a whole bunch of retweets? This person only has one retweet. That people's followers retweet their stuff. Does this make sense? Yeah? So I clicked on somebody who had tweeted out the BlogUS's URL for that particular, depression post. And I'm going to look at a few things, but the first thing that pops up is somebody else retweeted it. Well, she's got people that are at least reading her tweets, and somebody who retweeted it. And
Retweeted her tweet.
Yes, exactly.
And it's good that it's at least one.
Well, whether it's good or not is up to you to decide, but it certainly at least shows that one of her readers was interested and retweeted that. Getting a retweet's huge. It's huge. It's not like Facebook where it's just a like. You can get likes, likes on Twitter too. Likes are it's fine, it's great, they're good, and they do nothing for you. What does a lot for you is a retweet, right? So here's another one. Moms in the City. Does anyone know these people? They have 4,400 followers. That seems like a lot to me. They have a lot of tweets, but 4,400 followers. So that might be somebody I'd reach out to. By the way, Moms in the City, If you are a mom blogger, that might be a good person to connect with. Hey, saw that you were tweeting out stuff from Jenny. Awesome. By the way, and maybe just keep it there at first. Build a relationship, and then say, hey, can I write for you? Or can I promote one of your posts, right? And then hopefully they promote one of yours. Okay, so you guys understand the idea, right? Okay, let's look at like one, that might have been it. Okay, cool. Is this helpful? Yes. It's a little bit of work, right? So be aware that it doesn't, you have to get out there. And this is the equivalent of, like I said, I think this morning, the personal trainer who says, time to do the push-ups. You're like, yeah. But you got to do it. So this is that same screen I just showed you. Anyone questions so far?
So you find who's following the person who has a lot of...
You find who's sharing.
And then like you click on someone.
Uh-huh.
What do you have to do to follow them? You just click follow.
Yeah, there's a follow button. But I would,
Or you talk to them.
I'll tell you what's even more flattering in a weird way. Well, some accounts you can direct message without them following you and you following them. It is possible. But following them's fine and good, and maybe they'll follow you back. But I would just send them a tweet, and if you put their username with the @ symbol at the beginning of your tweet, it doesn't show up in your timeline. So you can send somebody a direct tweet without a direct message, an actual tweet that won't show up on, because nobody wants to see. Like yesterday, yesterday I knew I was quoting Stephen Pressfield, and like a moron, it occurred to me only, the night before, maybe I should send him a tweet, which I don't know him, he doesn't know me. He is a very big deal, at least to me, he's a big deal, and very influential, and certainly somebody that I admire. I bet he would be flattered if I told him I'm quoting him tomorrow in a keynote speech. Was he flattered? I don't know. I don't even know if he wrote me back. I haven't checked, but I thought maybe a good idea. So I put his user, whatever, the handle first, and then, because it wouldn't show up, I said, hey, just want to let you know I'm using. Do you know, like, that's got to be at least mildly flattering, right? You know how many times someone's done that to me? I mean, I get a lot of direct messages, but not as much as you might think. So it's nice, and I guarantee.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
How am I up there as most influential?
Are you up there? Oh, there you are.
How did I get there?
Well, you're influential. Network opportunity right there. Everyone converge upon. All right. Well, you must have shared that post.
I believe I did share that.
Yeah, you definitely did. Cool, right? You guys get it? All right, it's a little bit of work. All right, next strategy. We're going to do same thing but in a different way. Twitter Advanced Search. Okay, does anyone blog about anything that is local to their community? Oh, cool. So Twitter Advanced Search, you can put geographic radiuses of tweets. So you could go in there and say, I want to see everyone that's tweeted about University of Maryland who lives within 10 miles of the campus. That's pretty cool. If you're local, for me, I'll talk to anyone. But a lot of people have specific local blogs. But also keywords. So I know we don't like to be defined as a. You know what people call me? I just did an interview for. I can't even remember I can't remember because I never heard of it. But it's in the mom blog space, and I'm obviously not a mom blogger. And I did like a written interview, and anyway, they said, oh, well, we're starting to do non-mom blog humorists. And that was what they called me, they didn't call me a male humorist or a non-mom blog humorist. So I didn't, hey, whatever, I was flattered, but probably some website that gets, no traffic, but I was happy to do it. But basically what I thought is, since just because I'm not a mom blogger, maybe, and this mom blog thing is interviewing me, and most of my readers are women anyway, so why not search for mom blogger? So you can put in keywords, and you can do things like geographic radiuses for people who are tweeting. Same idea. You just have to do a little bit of work. Okay. So, like if your passion is quilting, somebody's passion is quilting, right? That would be, I would want to find everyone who's ever written a tweet about quilting. And I would want to reach out to them and say, hey, can I share some of your posts if they're a blogger? Or I would just want to say, hey, I'm glad to find somebody else who's into quilting. Let's hang out. You have to get out there and meet people, right?
So you don't think it would be better to like find if they are a quilter who posts that has a website, go to their page, pull one of their links, and then just tag them in it?
Do both.
Okay.
Do everything. Always do everything, right?
I don't want to be a stalker. I mean, it's like,
You know, some people don't check their Twitter accounts. But the people that we're looking at least in the keyhole example, are people who are actively using Twitter, right? But if you don't hear, I would do both at the same time. I would say, hey, just in case, I don't want you to think I was a weirdo, but not everyone checks Twitter. I just wanted to again say thank you. Here's what you can always say.
Those are the ones that say they're not weirdos.
That's true. That's true. So you guys get it, right? All right.
Can you explain to me how it's different than Facebook? You don't have to friend them send a message. You just
So the direct message used to be both people had to follow each other in order for a direct message conversation to happen. Now it's set up to where you can set up so that anyone direct messages you. I think by default it's not set that way. So odds are it won't let you. Twitter won't let you send one to somebody who only requires you to be their friend before. So just send them a regular tweet and put their name at the beginning of the tweet, and then you won't bore your audience with that stuff. But cool? Yeah. All right. So here I'm going to show you. I don't even remember what I did on this one, so we'll just have to watch it. But here's me doing Twitter advanced search. So I'm going to Twitter advanced search. And there's all sorts of different ways to put in variables and search. So I put in funniest blogger, because I would sure like to find people who are talking about the funniest blogger, because I'm a humor blogger, right? That might be a good opportunity for me to find someone else who's really good to network with, or just at least, maybe start watching what people are talking about, right? And maybe send a direct message, hey, I'm funnier than that guy, So I typed in funniest blogger, and I started looking at the responses. So here we go. Who's the funniest blogger you know? That's a great tweet, right? We all understand why that's a great tweet? If I'm somebody who is a humor blogger, that would be a good person. Maybe she is it she? Yeah. Maybe she's looking for a new blogger to follow. Maybe could lead to a million things. So, you got to get creative with this. So, I'm logging in. So I saw that as an opportunity. And I decided I had already written a response, so I guess I had already done that. But so I wrote a joke. I made a joke. Like, hey, I used to be #1 for funniest blogger on Google. I think I said, I'm not anymore. I guess I'm, not funny anymore, whatever. And I was just trying to be silly. But, and again, not many people were following. Actually, somewhere in here, it showed me, and it might not be in the video, that 86 people were watching this post. That's a lot of people, in my opinion. If I could get 86 new people to my blog a day, it'd be amazing, right? And these are new people, remember. Okay, so I wrote a response. Yeah, I said, yeah. I used to be #1, but not anymore. Whatever, haha. And then I went back and started looking for other opportunities. Here's the funniest. Here's another funny blogger. There's so many great tweets, and these are all people that the average person has a few hundred Twitter followers. That's it. So look at all these tweets. So you get the idea. So this was the one I responded to. So I was like, what's that FBL chat? What is that? Facebook live chat, maybe? That's probably what that, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I would have had to do a little research. 86 users were following the tweet, so it doesn't show me that there, but I saw it somewhere else. So I decided, hey, who's the funniest blogger I'm going to say I am, you know, and I'll be funny about it and see what happens. So, and there's 2 other people. Here's one person who responded. That's another person I could make friends with. Here's the thing about the stalking thing, because I can sense that there's if you're not a stalker, you can go up and approach people. If you're not an asshole, you're not an asshole. You don't have to worry. People like to be talked to.
But if they're on social media, chances are that they're ready to be stalked.
Yeah,
And raise their
right.
hand.
It's
But
not
it is
like
their actual
Facebook
right. They're not
where you're
sitting
on
outside their
outside
house, like, you know.
Yes.
I would guess.
This is the mindset. This is the mindset. And you know what? If you're an introvert, find introverted people on Twitter. And say, isn't it crazy on Twitter? We're trying to have to go out and meet people, but we're introverts, and you know you can have all sorts of interesting conversations. Okay, here's another way. You can automate email alerts. So you can literally have that search I just did at Twitter automatically happen for you and get emailed daily. I use a service called Warble. It's free. And you basically, I don't have a video because it's literally so simple. You go in, you say, send me, every time somebody tweets, funniest blogger. I don't know if you can do it instantly, but they probably only, I think they do daily digest. So I get an email every single day with a bunch of different hashtags, a bunch of different keywords. Would that be helpful? Yeah, you can't do that on Facebook, right? You can't meet new people on Facebook very easily, right? You can deepen connections. You can wait for people to follow you. You can go out and market yourself, but you can't directly go out. It's harder to get out and shake hands on Facebook. So here are the keywords that I have. I don't know if you can read those, but basically it's all related to my niche, which is humor blogger, funny blogger, blah, 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 right? So every day I get an email, I get several emails with all the people that tweeted out that particular keyword, those keywords. And if you see the second one down, funny blogs, I have to probably dive a little deeper because I literally every day I get like 100 mentions. That's 100 potential opportunities. We don't have that much time, right? But it's great opportunities, right? What about hiring somebody in your family to help sift through this to find opportunities for you? How about, hiring a neighbor kid to go through and do this? A lot of it's just the heavy lifting, but it works, right? So what we're doing is we're going after people that are pretty much inclined to like what we do, and we're saying hello. Cool? So I get emailed every single day with all this stuff. So like, for example, funniest blogger. I don't know if that was the same person, but I don't know when I ran this. But like, I only got one. That's somebody I'm going to make time for. Cool. By the way, I was once on a funniest blogger list years ago, and it was like, I feel like an Australian woman or something put this list together. And she found me, asked if I would be on the list. Yeah, I'd love to. And then it was like a voting thing. And then I think I asked this is years ago. I had like no followers. I asked my friends to like, hey, could you go vote for me one time? And I started overtaking her. And she was #1 on Google for like funniest bloggers or something online, or at the time. And then she booted me out. And because I was she was #1, and I was overtaking her in her own list. And I was like, that's not cool. I was beating you fair and square. Okay, let's talk about Twitter chats. So, does anyone participate in any Twitter chats ever? Yes, you should. Do we know what Twitter chats are? Okay, basically back and forth communication about a specific topic at a specific time. Everyone jumps on, has fun. Twitter party, same thing. Yes, sorry, Twitter parties.
Well, but without prizes. It's like the answer.
There could be prizes.
Yeah.
These are huge, 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 huge. Does anyone still do blog hops? Right? Those work?
That's how I started.
They work, don't they? They still work. Yeah, right? So basically, we're going to find people in these same, who are the same interests as us. And I made 3 lists. Don't worry, I'll email them to you. 3 different websites I link to that have every possible type of chat that's organized online, and the schedule. So like, here is just the first one. These are all the different Twitter chats that show up every week. So what's a niche? Like mom blog maybe? Let's see if let's just look up mom. Here's 24/7 modern mom. I bet those people are pretty busy. And if you're in the mom blog space, I don't say mommy because I don't want to get beat up. I know that's a bad word. But anyway, good place to maybe go hang out, right? So 7 to 8 o'clock on Wednesdays, they're hanging out online and talking, all right? So there's 37 Twitter chats just in this one list for people with the word mom. Well, maybe not 27. I guess they're all over. You get the idea. Cool? Is it? Is it cool? All right. I won't go through the other two, but you get the idea. And then I recommend using software when you're doing Twitter chats. It can get real messy. I did one with BlogU, thankfully, last year. Nicole, gosh, you did like it was awesome. But if they're done right, they're very, very structured and organized. And Tweet Chat is one of a few, there's many tools. Tweet Chat will organize it all for you into a stream. You can use Hootsuite will do it too. I mean, there's a lot of different tools that'll do it, but I like Tweet Chat just because it's specific to these kind of things. All right, now we're going to talk about hashtags. Now, I am really, unfortunately, not super I had to do a lot of research to learn about hashtags for this presentation because I bet I've probably, on Twitter, made 3 hashtags in my entire time on Twitter. Because as a joke writer, there was a time when everybody punctuated their joke with a hashtag, and people still do, and that's fine. But in my mind, for some reason, I was like, that's hacky, and that's lame, and I'm not going to be that guy, which is dumb because I could have really, found a lot more people. So I am a horrible example of as somebody who needs to start using hashtags. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But righttag.com is really good. There's a few others. Hashtagify is very good. Anyone use that? It's good for Instagram too. I think it's Hashtagify. Awesome. So anyway, let's talk about hashtags. I made this. So I started looking at some hashtags that were getting a lot of views. Now, I just copied and pasted all this, so it's kind of in a wonky format. But blogs I follow, that seems like a pretty cool one. I want to find out what's going on in the blogs I follow hashtag. And I think the visibility, the eye icon, I think that means the last 24 hours, how many accounts saw it. So read, okay, that's probably too broad. Mom problems. Good one, right? How many? 200,000? Mom life, laughing, right? So there are, and you really have to just go through it and start typing in, hashtags. I didn't know any of these hashtags. I just spent some time on right tag. All right, so do we understand we have enough different strategies now of how to go out there and find people who might be into our stuff? And then I don't want to sit and tell you how to build relationships with people. You should all know how to do that, right? Right? So I'll tell you what not to do. Hey, go check out my blog. You can do that on the second or third or fourth round, but just like Dale Carnegie, ask them about them and be genuine, right? As women, you guys are really good at sniffing out, people who are not genuine. A lot of men, oftentimes, women have to hone their skills if they are interested in men, because there's a lot of men who might not be so much genuine. So as you guys get a lot of practice, us men, we're totally clueless, right, about when somebody's not genuine. Let's talk about, does anyone know the author Matt De La Pena? I think he won, I don't know, it was like a Newbery Award. He had some major book, I don't know, in the last couple of years. And he wrote such a great quote on Twitter. But he basically said, I get tons of email and Facebook messages from readers. And my goal with Twitter and Facebook, if someone reaches out to me, I'm going to respond to them. I just don't want to be an elitist author who's untouchable. I'm just a regular person. I will always respond to everybody. What a great end sentence. I don't always respond to everybody. I'll bet you that guy's fans love him to death. Imagine you get a note from your favorite author on Twitter when you say, hey, good book, or whatever. Huge, 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 huge. So I just thought that was a cool quote. And he's like a big deal guy who doesn't have time to respond to everybody. All right, this is like my favorite website of all time. And I know these guys, and I've been trying to I promote them a lot, and been trying to get them to give me a free account, and they won't. But anyway, there is a free version, and it's awesome. You can just use the free version. You'll get as much as you need. If you're a big brand, you might want to pay for the but anyway, socialrank.com. Awesome, awesome stuff. Did anyone ever use Social Rank? Oh, it's so great. See, this is good. I'm glad you guys don't know about this stuff. So Social Rank will run through all of your Twitter followers. You can, I think they let you do it, as far as I know, as often as you want. Now, with Twitter API limits, if you have more than 15,000 Twitter followers, there's a rest period. So you have to wait 15 minutes. You don't have to wait. Their system will. So for somebody like me, it takes a while to run the report. I run it like once every few days. And what it does is it'll show you all sorts of things about the people following you, right? So it'll show you who's the most engaged with you. In other words, who's actually responding to your stuff. Who's the most influential? Who's a verified account? Who's following your stuff, right? Pretty cool, huh? Wouldn't you want to know your top 20 followers on Twitter? The people, I don't mean the most famous, I mean the people that love you and literally just send out stuff. And those people you should write handwritten thank you notes, find out their home address, and hand deliver it, because, yeah, well, maybe that's too much, but you should be very. Hey, what if you wrote everyone who is in that list and say, just so you know, out of all my followers, you are one of my most engaged people. Thank you so much. What would that do for that person? Huge, 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 huge. So. Here is my best follower. Now, best follower means something a little different. And I know some of these people. You guys might know some of these people. My friend Anissa's in that list there. But anyway. And there's David Del Porto. Look at that.
Hey.
I didn't know you were in there. Hey, I'm grateful that you're on the list.
Make your card in the mail.
Yeah. And here is most valuable. So I'm going to show you what I did with this list of most valuable. Now these are what they're going to initially do in sorting most valuable. They're going to look for all the verified accounts, because in Twitter's, in this social rank's mind, that means most valuable. And then they're kind of going to move from there. But you can also sort just by verified. So what do we do with this list? So I just pulled up the top, 10 most, what was it again? Most valuable. So. Does anyone know who Antonio Sabat? Yeah, he was in like the Janet Jackson video. Someone just told me. They were anyway. He's on Dancing with the Stars or something. But I don't really think he reads my stuff. I don't know why he follows me. He doesn't follow that many people, which is weird. The way that they sort this out, by the way, is they look at how many people are following that person and how many people they follow. These are all people that follow me. So this is just like the top 10. Now Terry McMillan is the author of. Yes, I don't think she's reading my stuff either. But I'm going to write her a direct message. And I wrote her a really funny thing, right? I wrote her something cute. And anyway, Pat Sajak, I'm sure he's not reading my stuff. Larry the Cable Guy. It was like one of my first follows was Larry the Cable Guy. Again, doesn't know me. Whoever Jennifer Arnold is, I don't know. And then Lisa Nova. So I know her. She's a friend. I can kind of skip past her. And then here's two people I don't even know who they are. Nate Navarro, Melissa Peterman. Does anyone know who those are? I don't even know who those people are. I'm a big Social D fan. But yeah, Social D follows me. And again, I'm sure it has nothing to do with me. So some of these you kind of have to go, if I reach out to Larry the Cable Guy just because he follows me, odds are he doesn't, you don't know who you are, right? So you kind of have to use your best judgment there. But I don't know who those two people are. And Amy Jo Martin, I did meet her once a long time ago. I don't know if it was just a mercy follow or something. But these are kind of big deal people. So these are good opportunities to reach out to them, right? Even, hey, I just saw you follow me. What's up with that? You could even be cute about it, right? So let's get back to this. Now let's talk about how to tweet. Not how to tweet, but how to tweet effectively. We good so far? Mm-hmm. All right, is this useful?
Yes.
Any questions?
It's 2:17, just FYI.
Okay, we'll be done in a few minutes. So, thank you. All right. Now, there's some debate about this. I am a huge fan, and Twitter and Facebook have both come out and said that they do not penalize people for using a posting service such as Hootsuite, Buffer, etc. What I mean is, all I can do is take them at their word. I know in the Facebook session it was said that Facebook probably doesn't treat a post that's natively entered into Facebook the same, but Twitter has come out and said specifically that that is not true. I can't say whether it is or not, but I use it and it doesn't seem to affect me in a negative way. Twitter, they just don't care. So, but here's what's really important. Make sure that if you're doing an image or a meme or something related to your blog post, you're tweeting out an image, make sure that you upload that. If you're using another system, make sure it uses their native image system. So Hootsuite, what they used to do is they had this owl.ly thing that put it on. It was awful. Have you ever tried to put an Instagram post on Twitter? It sucks. They just put a link because Instagram wants you to go to their website, right? So, and Twitter doesn't really want you going there anyway. So the idea is that if you want to do Instagram, you really can't cross-post because it'll be a mess. Do a separate post for Twitter. But both Buffer and Hootsuite allow you to use their native, the Twitter native image upload. Okay? Just trust me. Make sure in your settings, if you're using Hootsuite or Buffer, that you have that enabled. Otherwise, you're going to be using there, and Twitter will link to it as opposed to showing you the image. And you don't want somebody to link to. Nobody clicks on those. And like I said, don't cross-post from Instagram. Does everyone know you can do Twitter polls? Yes, I was lucky. I was in the beta group for it, and when I did it, people were like, "That is so weird and cool," and it's so easy, and it's fun, right? So you guys could always do little polls there, and like I said earlier about replying, if you put somebody's username at the beginning of the tweet, it doesn't show up in your timeline, but the other person will get it. Yeah, don't cross-post, and I'll talk about if this then that. Okay, real quickly, don't beg people. Yeah, we talked about that. Did everyone know that in Twitter you can tag accounts on an image? Just like Facebook you can tag people, Instagram you can tag people, Twitter you can tag people. You can put up to 10 accounts on an image. Okay, I'm giving you a template on how to do your header art. You can click that. 80% conversation, 20% promotion. Conversation. Let the promotion happen naturally. Okay, I have a couple of plugins. I'm going to move past them. You can check them out when I send you the slides. They're awesome. Does anyone use if this, then that? No. It's awesome, right?
Yes, love it.
It's a way to automate many, many things, and it's too broad to really get into. But basically, what if you wanted to create a list of everyone who mentioned you on Twitter so you had it in a database or in a spreadsheet? How cool would that be, right? Or every time you got a new Twitter follower, it automatically put it in a Google spreadsheet for you. Or every time a new tweet comes in to Twitter, has nothing to do with you, but a specific hashtag, it puts it in a spreadsheet for you. Cool stuff, right? Yeah. I've got links on how to do all that. Okay? All right, this is good stuff. And I did a lot of looking into research about when to tweet. Some of this you may disagree with. That's okay. I'm just telling you the data I found. Don't tweet. Really you shouldn't tweet between like 9 and 5, which is odd, but specifically between 8 and 1, in the United States, sort of no matter where you are in the 4 time zones. Believe it or not, 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. earns the most clicks. People overseas, you get people who are bored, who are living here. Worst time for engagement, 9 to 5. Does that make sense? Yeah, right. Tweets at 9 p.m. earn the most favorites and retweets. Makes sense, right? Okay. And anatomy of a perfect tweet. Images increase engagement and everything by almost 23%. And with a lot of times with images, keep your tweets really short. So I just put some stats in here about things you can use. If you're doing a non-image tweet, regular tweet, 120 to 140 is fine. Hashtags, this is what I don't do. You can use up to 4 hashtags, and then what happens is engagement drops off. So if you use 5 hashtags, too many, 1 to 4, all the way up to 4, it increases engagement. After 4, it goes down. So use right tag, find some hashtags, and add it. This is Instagram, you do this all the time, right? You put 50,000 hashtags in it. But just with Twitter, just do 4. Link clicks count for 92% of all Twitter engagement. 9 out of every 10 engagement, thing, whatever they call engagement, which is a like, a favorite, a retweet, a reply, a click. Clicks count for 9 out of every 10 instances. You guys are bloggers or YouTubers or podcasters. Links. Put a link to your blog post, and then about a quarter of the way through seems to be the magic formula there. Lastly, only tweet about your passion, what you're into. Don't try to fake it. Never, ever, ever try to fake it. It won't work. And I just real quickly wanted to talk about dealing with negative people. And I'm just specifically talking about Twitter. I don't have to deal too much with that. I'm fortunate where for some reason people leave me alone. But I'm actually, if somebody says something horribly abusive, yeah, just block gone. But if they just don't like you, I think most people just want to be heard. And if you just say, oh, I'm really sorry you feel that way, it goes a long way. You'll find that 9 out of every 10 times, they'll be like, oh no, I just, I was in a bad mood. Or I'm a huge, huge fan of trying to convert those people. So there's a lot of ways I have, you can read through this later. Okay, so here's what you're actually going to do every day. You're going to write 3 original tweets. There's a bunch of different ways. Be funny, provocative, interesting, generous, etc. Okay? Then you're going to tweet out 2 articles a day from someone else. Right? Find people that you like, and you're going to reply to everyone who writes to you. You're going to retweet anything funny. You're going to, by the way, you are going to favorite basically every time somebody writes, you're going to favorite that. Unless it's something horrible, right?
You retweet when people say something about you. It almost
I do.
obnoxious.
No, I don't care. Because here's the thing. No, that's a really great question. Because I'm not an asshole, I don't worry about that. Because I'm not an asshole. If I was an asshole, then I probably wouldn't do it. Does that make sense? Don't worry about coming off like a douche if you're not a douche. You get away with a lot more if you're
I
not.
don't think it comes across that way. I think it comes
Well, it
across
can.
the opposite, though, because it's almost like you're honoring them by.
I think so, but that's a really great question, and other people would have different opinions than what I just gave. And then lastly, Scott Stratton is the greatest. This is it. It's really that simple. Follow, reply, retweet, share, repeat. It's really simple. I'm sorry, I'm just about out of time. Now, congratulations. You now understand Twitter. And if anyone needs to follow me or wants to, that's me and that's my blog. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much.